Hi everybody, Jennifer Blevins-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about NPI numbers, taxonomy codes, and contracts, and how they all kind of work together. It is one of those you don't know what you don't know situations, especially if you are a new doctor, a new provider wanting to start your own practice, and you're either in the early stages of thinking about this and trying to get everything situated and ducks in a row to begin the process, or if you're in the middle of the process and you're not quite to the part where you're open yet. And I'm doing this because there is a lot of confusion about how taxonomy codes play in part with your NPI numbers and how it affects your contracts. So when I'm saying contracts, I'm saying insurance contracts with your payers. Your NPI has a taxonomy associated with it. Not only your NPI 1, which is your individual NPI number, but your NPI 2, which is your group NPI number. The taxonomy codes associated with that is what the insurances look at for your specialty, what you should be billing for, what's in your scope of practice. It also helps when they're providing you with the contracts and what you're communicating to them in order for them to provide you a contract or at least be willing to contract with you for your services. Now you might say, I just put a generalized taxonomy code there. I've never had an issue. Nobody's ever asked me that. And a lot of times, if you're a general practice, internal med type situation, it doesn't really play that big of a role because you're going to be a contract for a physician's office, place of service 11, your internal med general practice, you're billing very generalized CPT codes, diagnosis codes, etc. Where it really starts coming into effect is if you're in urgent care, if you're a specialist, because they're going to give you contracts focused on your specialty, because different specialties and CPT codes are reimbursed differently, right? I mean, a neurologist is going to get paid a little bit more than general practice because of knowledge and the services they offer and their specialty in which they've had their training and schooling and etc. And so not everything is treated the same. You would need your NPI number to reflect your specialty, to reflect your specifics. So you might be an internal medicine doctor, but maybe you specialize in OC health. Maybe you specialize in urgent care. Maybe you focus on certain areas, and that needs to be reflected in your taxonomy code, but it also needs to be communicated to the insurance companies when you're getting those contracts so they're aware. Urgent cares are billed at a different place of service. Yes, it's a doctor's office, but it's an urgent care because there's different services offered, different levels of service are often offered. So a lot of times you have imaging on site. And so that needs to be communicated when you're doing your contract and credentialing, and it needs to be reflected in your NPI taxonomy associations. Urgent cares are billed at place of service 20. 2-0, not place of service 11-1-1, which is an office visit. So urgent care, place of service 20, you're going to get higher reimbursement for like an E&M code, most likely, I'm guessing, in my experience you do. But you also get different kinds of contracts. So a lot of times a payer might say, well, we don't reimburse all different CPTs. You can only reimburse this S code, let's say S code, CPT S code, and it's for this amount, and we might pay you for additional labs that are done, or maybe they'll say they're bundled and you have to negotiate and say, no. The S code is just for the visit, but I want to be able to bill the additional ancillary items separately, and you're going to pay those separately. I mean, those are the things you need to be looking at. Those are the things you need to be considering. And the same goes for other specialties. They might say, well, you only can bill for these certain CPT codes, but we're going to pay them this high for your specialty. Or if you don't let them know that, they might not give you that, and you just, bill out and they reimburse based on what they're doing for most general practitioners. And I don't want you to short yourself for what you're doing. You should get paid for what you're doing and what your specialty is, what your focus is. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think that the insurance just looks at your stuff and they give you the contracts that's associated. But you want to be specific when you're communicating with them and letting them know and backing it up with what taxonomy is associated with your NPI. And you can have multiple different taxonomies on your NPI. You just have to have one primary one. So it would be your one main one. And it also needs to be the same for your NPI too. And if you're a multi-specialty, there's a taxonomy for multi-specialty because you don't want to list every single one, right? But your providers will have their specific ones. So your group might be a multi-specialty taxonomy, which is acceptable. And then your contract is going to cover those multiple specialties. So you'll have maybe a behavioral health person under your contract with their NPI being specific with that taxonomy code. And you'll have a general practitioner with the taxonomy under their NPI one being with that code. And then you might have, I don't know, an allergist, let's say, with their taxonomy reflecting that under their NPI one associated with your group. And it kind of branches out and it covers that. But a lot of people don't realize exactly where the taxonomy code plays a role. So before you start getting those contracts, definitely make sure your taxonomy codes are reflected and current on your NPPES website for your NPI 1 and your NPI 2. You can make changes in your login, so make sure you do that. And then make sure that you're communicating your intentions of what your specialty is, what your practice is going to be to the insurance company so that you can make sure that you get those right contracts with the correct reimbursements and that you don't end up maybe billing something and it comes back saying, you know, you're not able to provide those services because they have you listed as something different in your taxonomy and they're saying, whoa, that's out of your scope. And you're going to say, no, it's not. But it's probably because of that affiliation between your taxonomy and your NPI. So everything needs to be related together and talking and making sense to each other. And then you shouldn't have any problems. If you have any questions or comments about that, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful. As always, subscribe to my channel and please share with anybody whom you feel would benefit from this information. Take care of yourself, be well, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.